Now, what in the carnival is going on here? So, the big talk on the seven seas at the moment is a severe storm that a Carnival cruise ship recently had to endure this past weekend. I have a ton of clips that I want to show all of you because at this point in time, yes, I'll be honest with you, even as a seasoned cruiser like moi, there are times where you get caught in storms on ships and it isn't exactly the best environment, especially if you have never cruised before or if you are new to cruising. Now, when it comes to this particular situation, people are asking a lot of questions as this is starting to raise a lot of controversy. Two big questions, in fact. One, how in the heck with today's technological advances that are available did a cruise ship get caught in a storm so severe? We're talking about up to 70 to 80 miles per hour winds and waves up to 12 feet high. Also, when it comes to the conditions, you're talking about things like water damage and flooding on board, leaks all over the place, broken glasses and dishes and items everywhere. How did we get to a point to where there are crew members that are sleeping in theaters and everywhere else that the ship did not decide to delay the next sailing in order to make sure everybody on board is okay? Now, to be clear, there have been no issues of anybody being injured or anything like that, but as you could imagine, a situation like that is going to put a lot of people in distress and discomfort, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. By the way, very quick update for those of you that have been following my journey. Yes, I did just fly in from Europe not even 5 hours ago, and I have a ton of videos that I want to get over to you guys as I'm only home for about 24 hours as I'm getting ready to head to Seattle to jump on Carnival's newest ship, the Carnival Luminosa. It's the Costa Carnival Italian hybrid thing. I'm taking that cruise over to Alaska. So I do have videos like my 2 weeks on the Resilient Lady. I have the review coming up for that, Norwegian Joy. Just be prepared to be bombarded by a lot of videos, more than the usual.
Some passengers aboard a Carnival cruise ship say they experienced nightmare conditions when their ship was caught in some pretty bad weather.
That's right. Take a look at this video. Rough seas struck the Carnival Sunshine as it returned to Charleston, South Carolina from the Bahamas. You can see off in the distance the dark clouds, the white caps on the waves there surrounding, ironically, what the ship name is, Sunshine. So it's very nasty conditions around the ship there. Passengers aboard the ship reported water damage and broken glass, as well as high waves that battered the vessel as well.
Yeah, Carnival just also sent us a statement to Fox Weather saying in part, quote, the weather and rough surf led to some crew cabins being temporarily taken out of service.
It's wet. Oh, God. Jesus. Oh.
As you can see in these video clips, we aren't exactly looking at the utopic, beautiful conclusion of an amazing vacation. This is a potential scary situation, there's no doubt about it, especially for those of you out there that don't cruise regularly, or maybe for the people on board. Some of them, it was their first time cruise. So, well, you have people referring this situation to the start of the Titanic, and I understand why. A lot of people were just simply frightened. Now, all this took place on board the Carnival Sunshine. The ship was launched in 1996 and was refurbished and made beautiful and new-ish again in 2013. It used to be formerly known as the Carnival Destiny, and then 2013, after the refurbishment, it was known as the Carnival Sunshine. And, well, pun intended, but you can see it wasn't exactly a bright and sunshiny day in this particular situation with the storm. Getting to the big topic of discussion here, according to the Cruise Center, it's what I consider to be a somewhat, well, actually pretty reputable news outlet. Well, they might primarily talk about things like what's going on with the crew or the employees on board cruise ships all over the world. And allegedly, when it came to this severe storm that the Carnival Sunshine was forced to endure, from decks 0 to 4, there were all types of issues, primarily flooding, which unfortunately damaged a lot of the crew, the home accommodations for the crew members that are sailing on board this ship for their 6 to 9 month contract, causing them to unfortunately have to sleep in places like the theater and any other places that the cruise line could put these crew members for them to get a decent night's sleep. While there is only so much that can understandably be done about this particular situation, that's not the issue. The issue is, for many people, crew and passengers alike, is that the Carnival Sunshine is going to sail the same day when it drops those passengers off, regardless of the damage that is primarily done on the lower decks, in particular the crew areas. Now, as most of you know, I'm a former crew member. I worked briefly for Carnival, Norwegian, and even Virgin as well, even though never made it onto the ship, as many of you know. However, just being a former crew member, I talk about the crew a lot, and I care about the crew because I do believe happy crew, happy ship. And when it comes to this situation, if a crew member cannot get a good night's sleep and they have to worry about their personal items being damaged and all of that stuff, and along with their regular stuff they got going on at home with their families and bills and everything else, it is without a doubt going to create a very stressful situation. And you have to ask the question, could they do their job adequately and professionally and to the point to where they're satisfying all the guests while also not straining themselves out to the point to where they have potential mental issues or anything of that nature? I do believe that is a big point of discussion right now. To be clear here, in case you're wondering where I'm going with this, I'm not trying to say that Carnival is this evil company that doesn't care about the crew. That's always a big thing. The crew aren't paid enough, they're not taken care of well enough, and blah, blah, blah. First of all, the crew members wouldn't be there otherwise. Of course, there is the fact that they do have to make money and support their families and all that jazz. But either way, you get my point here. They can just switch to another line if that's the real issue here. But there are 2 points that I want to bring up because there are 2 factors. There is the business side of things and there is, I guess, the moral side of things. From a business perspective with Carnival, just like an airline or an airplane in particular, once that airplane goes into operation, it is costing tons and tons of cash. That point, that contraption, that device, that transportation device is now bleeding out money. So it behooves of the operators to keep that specific device running. In this case, the cruise ship. The cruise ship, unless it's going into something like a dry dock, does not stop moving as far as the engine goes and the electricity and everything, all the little giblets that go into making a cruise operational. That ship goes from port to port, and whenever your vacation is over as a passenger, you get off, and then another batch of customers, dollar signs, come on, and this causes the cruise line to continue to make more money. Understandable. However, in the moral sense, like I said, if the crew members aren't getting adequate sleep, there is no telling if they're sleeping just on the seats. Maybe they're pretty comfortable. I don't know. Maybe they actually have like some sleeping bags for the crew members to sleep in. But again, if somebody is worried, like these particular employees and crew members, about the status of their room, their accommodations, their pictures, all the stuff that they've collected, the things that they hold dear, because believe it or not, when they're on the ship for 6 months, that cabin that they are staying in, that accommodation, is their home away from home. And should something get damaged, again, like their pictures, memorabilia, stuff that has sentimental value, you can imagine what strain they put on you. So now it's going to cause a situation where people are wondering, why not delay the ship for a day or so that you could have a situation where things can get cleaned up and the crew members can clear their mind of any worries about their personal items in their room and, of course, have a good night's sleep. The answer, as you may know, can be very complicated and tricky as there are a lot of details and moving parts when you are working in the people moving industry, whether it be for actual need, like of course public transportation like a bus or maybe even a plane to some degree, or even vacation reasons like cruise ships. When it comes to booking a cruise, there are people that have paid thousands of dollars for the cruise, there are people that have deposits, there are travel agencies, there are transportation companies that are also working with the cruise lines. All these little giblets and details all coincide one another to hopefully create a good product and a smooth sailing and vacation and, well, operational end for everybody involved. Even one day, as far as a delay, can cause a snowball effect that affects everybody else, not just the people on board and the crew. So naturally, yes, to make that call, it is well above my head. I have no say in the matter, and the crew have no say in the matter. The captain, to a certain degree, doesn't really have a say in the matter either. It comes up to the people, the suits, the people on the corporate end, if you will. They are the ones that make the final decision, and, well, this is the situation that we have now. If it was up to me, honestly, yes, I do think, yeah, there should be at least some kind of delay to make sure all the crew are okay and everything is rectified, all of the damage is cleaned up. But on the other end, I do understand business, and, well, as they say, we got to keep this thing a-moving. The other big issue that everybody's asking, there is a captain on board, Captain Leonardo, who a lot of people are saying he carelessly just sailed into the storm, assuming that there was going to be no issue whatsoever. Like I said, there's so many moving parts, and even with today's technological advances like radar systems and all that jazz, it is very hard to make these kind of decisions. Yes, the cruise lines do have the technology as well as communicating with shoreside staff and people that are also looking at this stuff as far as logistics to determine whether a area is ideal or safe for passengers and guests and crew and everybody to actually sail into these conditions, be it hurricane force winds or anything of that nature. This is how cruise lines don't get caught in things like hurricanes and typhoons and all that stuff that people are typically worried about when it comes to a storm. I've been caught in a storm many a time on a cruise ship, and well, it gets to a point to where the captain will decide on how they're going to navigate through it, or they're going to try to find a way to go around it so that they can, hopefully lessen the damage as far as the rain and of course the swells, the waves, and everything else in between. But sometimes it just simply can't be done. And also on this end, there is the business side of things. Of course, there are deadlines to meet. The cruise ship has to get back to port at a certain time, and well, they got to decide if it's safe enough to be able to get back on time versus having to just kind of sit out in the ocean or take a detour, go another way around, and from there decide what exactly it is they're going to do. Are they going to show up late? Are they going to show up on time? That's always going to be the big question. So I don't fault the captain because he has to answer to people just like everybody else that has a job where they have a boss or a manager to some degree. Also, seeing how, like I said, there have been no reported injuries or anything of that nature, things, I guess, went pretty decent overall, other than some water damage and leaks and, of course, the crew area being affected. But like I said, I do believe that is a big deal to some extent. But of course, I want to hear from all of you fine folk. Let me know what you think about this particular situation. Maybe if there's more information put out, I might make a part 2, but I don't think there's really a need. But of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you were on board the Carnival Sunshine, also let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And know, as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. I have more content coming on both of my channels, this one and Jay the Nomad. So keep an eye out, as like I said, I have more videos than usual coming up between today and tomorrow before I board the Carnival Luminosa. I'll see all of you later. Take it easy.